Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Luke Owen and this is Wrestling News. We kick off today's WrestleTalk News talking about the angle that closed out this week's NXT, which did not sit well with a lot of the viewing audience. Twitter was awash with fans calling the angle tasteless, tone-deaf and inappropriate. Some even called it controversial. And it's not just fans, as Fightful Select report that some in WWE agreed, thinking the angle was controversial. The angle in question saw Ridge Holland return to NXT and immediately injure Ilya Dragunov by dropping him on his head with a DDT. The NXT champion was then stretchered out of the building. The reason for the controversy is because this plays off the real-life injury to Big E, who has been on the shelf since a botched belly-to-belly suplex by Ridge Holland back in March of 2022 broke his neck. That injury was so serious that Big E have revealed that doctors have advised him to never wrestle again. And given how popular Big E is, it's understandable that some fans took against NXT running an angle that played off this very serious incident, especially as they played up Holland's history with neck-based injuries as part of the storyline. This also isn't the first time in the last few months that WWE have played off real-life injuries. Since her return, there have been several references to Nia Jax injuring her opponents in the past, and they turned Xia Li accidentally giving an opponent a concussion from a stiff kick back in NXT into her finishing move on the main roster. But this is all a storyline. It was actually filmed last week, and Fightful Select report everyone seemed happy with the performance and camera work, and producers seemed pleased with the reaction the angle got from the crowd. Fightful Select add that WWE were aware that the audience would know this wasn't a real-life injury because the next set of NXT tapings started straight away. It did help the viewership though, as NXT fell again this week, pulling in 641,000 viewers, down 5% from last week. The 18-49 demo was also down. Maybe they need to send for the man like they did when they stacked the show with Cody Rhodes, John Cena and The Undertaker that one time. Following reports from Fightful Select that her contract with WWE is up in June of next year and a new deal has not been signed yet, Lynch herself has revealed that WWE will likely remain her home forever. Speaking with Strutting from Gorilla, Lynch said of WWE, "I love the people, I love the audience, and I love being able to have been an important part of change. It's my home, it's where I was born as a professional wrestler, and it's where I'll retire." Her husband Seth Rollins also has his contract up in June and is rumored to also be staying with the company. So I think we can put away the Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch to AEW confirmed memes for the time being, probably forever. Before we get into the AEW Dynamite review, the first of our end-of-year awards season videos kicked off yesterday over on WrestleTalk podcast as myself, Oliver Davis, and Dan Layton counted down the best wrestlers of 2023. There's a link for that in the video description down below, but now let's head on over to Oliver Davis for this week's AEW Dynamite review.
I'm Ollie Davis, and now it's time for my review of the AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. In about 5 minutes. Dynamite's final week of the main Gold League matches opened both cold, as in there was no intro credits, and hot, as it was Swerve Strickland versus Roosh, and Roosh will kick you in the face. Because this was a Roosh match, it was fantastically fast-paced with non-stop back-and-forth action. Swerve worked over Roosh's knee, which awesomely gave way when he tried running to hit his bull's horn finisher, and Roosh targeted Swerve's taped-up shoulder. The finish was terrific, as Roosh kicked out very angrily at one when Swerve hit a 450 on him, like, "How dare you actually try to beat me?" I'm still not convinced Roosh knows wrestling as predetermined. Strickland followed that up with a brainbuster and stomp to win. It meant that with 12 points, Swerve qualified for the Gold League semi-final against Mox. The intrigue now became about whether Jay White would beat Moxley, because if he did, that would put White in the semi-final too, making it a triple threat, as Mox, Swerve and White would all be tied at 12 points, but each would have beaten each other. There's so many numbers, I love tournaments. Chris Jericho cut a serious promo backstage on Kenny Omega being hospitalized, meaning he'll be out of AEW indefinitely, and the World's End Tag Title match is off. Take as long as you need, Kenny, and when you're ready, Jericho will be waiting for him with the Golden Jets. We're trying to motivate Kenny's recovery, Chris, not make him depressed. Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal might both be losers in the Continental Classic, but only one can be the ultimate loser. Both with 0 points heading into their final match, Mark and Jay had a really fun bout, elevated by the crowd chanting for chairs. Mark throwing chairs in the ring, but the referee always getting rid of them. Lethal hit a Jay Driller, presumably out of respect for his departed friend, but it felt like a heel mind game spot. So Mark hit a Jay Driller of his own after a freaking burning hammer to win. Mark Briscoe has been fantastic in this tournament. I hope he gets to do something substantial afterwards. After a video package of MJF getting inducted into the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, and Wardlow again teasing he'll be the one to bring the devil to his knees, which is now making me think it's all a misdirect and Wardlow will save MJF, taking out the literal devil, we heard from Samoa Joe and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Considering how Hangman Page got taken out last week and MJF has never been seen to be attacked, Joe now has his suspicions about Max. MJF replied, pointing out that Joe dropped the ball on protecting him. Maybe Joe's the devil. I don't think that's a viable line of inquiry, Max. Joe has quite a recognizable body shape that isn't the devil's. Retribution ran down to attack them, where Max and Joe easily threw them all out. The main devil goons got on the apron and the lights cut to black. Text appeared on the Tron asking, "Where can you go? Who can you trust? Next week, will you accept a challenge for your ROH Tag Team Championships? Are you a hero? Max." Joe accepted, saying this is the only way to get to the devil. It was a decent segment, even if the devil extras are getting less threatening by the week. But it was a backstage interaction later on that provided the coolest storyline development. Max found a mask outside the embassy's locker room, which caused a confrontation between him and Swerve Strickland. They reminisced about their history driving around the country, trying to make it in this business. But while MJF went on to become world champion, Swerve says he's been ducking him ever since he joined AEW. The topic of Hangman Page came up, which Max accused Swerve of being obsessed by, and he used that as Exhibit A in Strickland and the Embassy actually being the Devil Squad. Swerve said he's not the devil, but if Max keeps waving that title in front of his face, he'll be the one to bring him to hell. Joe broke things up, having a prolonged stare down with Swerve. Just like the Hangman Page backstage interaction last week, this was a great way to suddenly enter Strickland into the Maxverse, continuing his elevation by having him near the world champion. And if the devil ends up being Swerve, I'm totally fine with that. Rio beat Saraya next in a number one contenders match for Toni Storm's women's title. The match was fine, but at only 7.5 minutes, it was neither enough to protect Saraya in defeat or make Riho look that impressive in beating her. The best thing actually happened on commentary, where Toni called Taz her favorite landlord, the human duplex machine. Pretty good. Riho managed to get the better of Storm afterwards, so Mariah May made the save where Toni didn't seem to like being upstaged. Tony Schiavone read out a pre-prepared statement from Christian saying how he'll be on Collision to answer Copeland's challenge. Somehow, despite not even being there, Christian got loads of heat. Obviously, the episode's best matches were in the Continental Classic, but hot damn! Roderick Strong and Commander was fun. Commander got so much rotation off Roddy's end of heartache finisher, it turned into a gutbuster. Strong cut a promo in victory afterwards, again declaring Max is the devil. In a lovely moment during the ad break, Tony Khan announced Jim Ross to his hometown crowd, making his return for the first time in several weeks. It was to call a great main event between Jay White and John Moxley, while White had to beat Mox to get into the semi-final. While I really enjoyed the match, I would have opened the episode with White beating Mox, which would give Strickland both a main event spot and the babyface psychology of having to win the match to join the semi-final. Giving the underdog story to massive heel White never effectively played into the match. Nevertheless, this was terrifically worked, with White working over Mox's leg, even doing a rare bit of C2 cheating, hitting it with a chair behind the ref's back. Then bang on the 15-minute call, Moxley hit a stomp, but White flipped out of a paradigm shift to hit a Blade Runner to win. Swerve watched on from the ramp as White did the na-na dance, and then hurt Mox's leg even more, giving an extra layer to their semi-final match. It's a great ending to this stage of the Gold League, and it continues AEW's building of White and Swerve as main eventers. This week's Dynamite is 77%. But how did a legal case from a little wrestling promotion cause WWE to fire their top legal guy, stop signing Roman Reigns' cousins, and maybe even preventing the Elite from leaving AEW? Watch on to find out more.